Let the punishment fit the crime, eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye. You want me to blind him?
No.
Okay, oh, this is why you need to choose your words very clearly. Hello, my friend, and welcome to another exciting episode of Negotiate Anything. I'm Kwame Christian. I'm a business lawyer, mediator, professor, and the director of the American Negotiation Institute, where we conduct negotiation and conflict resolution trainings that make your difficult conversations easier. And if you like the content in this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you will be the first person to know when we create new content. And if you or your team is interested in negotiation training or our online course, check out the AmericanNegotiationInstitute.com. All right, everyone. Again, it is time for a Stump the Kwame session, a reaction video, if you will. Maria, our producer and the content and marketing manager at ANI, is going to try to stump me. And so let's check out the video she's given me today. I'm going to try to see how we can relate this to negotiation and conflict resolution.
Mother. I swear, I'm their mama.
She is a sweet little lady. She's a widow.
She works hard, all day, every day, just like her mother before her, from dawn till dusk, scrubbing the floors of rich people. She needs a cane to walk. You know, she's got arthritis, and still she works every day. What, for herself? No, not for them. For these two. Her boys are apples of her eye.
You say they don't deserve her? Maybe so. But they're all she's got. Now, you turn them inside out. I want you to think about what happens to her.
No, that's on them. They should have thought about that.
When I was at your abuelita's place,
You were gonna let them go. Way I see it, that's because you're tough, but you're fair. You're all about justice.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Whew, intense. Oh man, I forgot I was doing a reaction video. I started watching it and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen next? All right, so let's break this down. First thing, I'm actually not going to talk about the communication aspect. I'm going to think about it in terms of building rapport. If you see what Saul is wearing right now, it's got to be hot. It's got to be really hot, besides the fact that it's impractical for the circumstances. I don't think it puts a really good connection in place between the two. Everybody else is very casual. He is dressed up. And so in this situation, it's clear that this guy, this gentleman on the other side, he wants to be in control of the situation. But Saul, through his garb, is showing that he has some level of status above him, right? And so given the fact that this person wants to assert control and dominance over the situation, he's probably not going to take kindly to that. So in order to signal a little bit of rapport and humanize myself, I would have, when it was safe, tried to take off a little bit of the high-level clothing to seem a little bit more like them, to create a little bit of empathy, rapport in that situation. It's subtle, but it's important. They say in the business world, you want to dress like your prospect, but just a little bit better. Not a lot better, just a little bit better. The garb that he's wearing is actually taking away from his credibility and persuasive power in this moment. So that's the first thing. The next thing is he's trying to make an emotional connection with him. And I'm glad that he recognized very soon and very early that the way that he was initially going about it was not successful. He made it very clear he doesn't care about his mother. He doesn't care about anybody's mothers in this situation. So that little rapport thing, hey, do it for their mothers, I don't care. Good. Recognize that, Saul, and move on. A lot of people make the mistake of saying, hey, I would care about their mothers in this situation. Let me keep on pushing that. People are not always like you. We make the mistake of focusing on what would be persuasive to us. Not always going to work here, okay? So we made that shift. Now he made a very interesting strategic move and started to appeal to who this man wants to be. He wants to be somebody who's tough. As a gangster, you always want to be tough, but he also wants to be seen as fair. Now he's starting to get some buy-in. You can see he's making some more eye contact. He's saying, yeah, That is who I want to be. Cool. So strategically, Saul should stay on this point. Let's see if he does.
Justice.
These brains, these big mouths, you already beat the living hell out of them.
Okay, before he keeps going, I am loving where he's going, right? Before he's like, please, mercy, mercy for them, mercy for their mother's sake, all that stuff. He didn't care. Then he says, no, justice. You already doled out a lot of justice. You beat them up. They deserved it, right? Now you're starting to speak his language. It might not be a way that Saul really appreciates himself. It might not be something that he personally agrees with or believes, but he knows that the person he's talking to, his audience, thinks this way. And you need to persuade people in their language, not yours. So let's keep going. Let's see.
You think they're ever going to forget today?
Never. 10 years from now, it's still gonna be crapping their jockeys.
It's not enough.
Okay.
Okay, now good. So he's starting to speak their language and it's starting to work, but he says it's not enough. So let's see what's happening here. He says, you are tough but fair. This is about justice. They've already been punished, so you can let them go because they have been punished. He says, yes, you are correct, they have been punished. But in my book, they have yet to be punished enough, so more is coming. So really now what we're calculating is this. What does more mean to him? Considering the fact that he is holding a sizable knife, I think it's going to involve a lot of pain and violence. I would want some specificity here. I'd say, okay, what do you mean by more? It's not enough. What does that mean to you? Okay, I need to get some clarity here, but let's see what Saul says.
Then let's talk proportionality. They're guilty. Yeah. Agreed.
Oh, I'm loving this. He is approaching this the exact right way. He says, okay, well, what is fair? Again, we need to see what's fair for him. In his mind, what is fair? So let's see where this goes.
Now you have to decide what's the right sentence.
Now pause. You saw how the boys were freaking out. They're like, hey, Saul, we do not like the way this is going. We don't like the way this is going. This is something that's important, especially in agent principal types of situations. So what I'm talking about is in the business world where you have somebody who is the client and you have an agent who's operating on behalf of the client. Think about in sports, you have the athlete and then you have their agent. In law, as a lawyer, I can say this. You have clients and then me, I'm the lawyer, I'm their agent. I'm operating on their behalf. I'm negotiating on their behalf. Oftentimes, what it takes to persuade will sound a little bit off and off-putting and unenjoyable to the client. Of course, Saul is not in control of this interaction. He has limited control of the circumstances and the context. So he can't just say, hey, can I step aside so my clients don't hear this? He couldn't be in control. But for you in your negotiations, I think you probably have a little bit more control. So keep this in mind. Sometimes the best way to advocate on behalf of somebody else, they might not like the way it sounds, but you have to communicate to your audience in the way that's most persuasive. So let's keep going.
Like a judge.
Like a judge. You ever hear of the code of Hammurabi? Let the punishment fit the crime. Eye for an eye.
Eye for an eye. You want me to blind them?
No.
Okay, oh, this is why you need to choose your words very clearly. So metaphors, analogies, stories, these are things that are very, very, very persuasive, but you need to choose them carefully. If you go to our website, americannegotiationinstitute.com/guide, you'll get access to over 15 free negotiation guides. One of those guides is how to tell an effective story. It's such a powerful tool of persuasion if you use it the right way. If you try to come up with a metaphor or a story off the fly, it could work, but it could backfire because they might take the wrong message from it. And as soon as he said eye for an eye, I said, man, this is the kind of dude that would take that literally. And he did. Okay, so now Saul needs to backpedal here.
All they did was trash talk.
So I cut their tongues out.
See, I'm advising that you make the punishment fit the crime.
Punishment fit the crime.
Colombian neckties. I cut their throats and then I pull their long tongues through the slits. Bitch!
Or you could give them black eyes.
Black eyes? That ain't nothing.
That one there, Holmes, he already got a black eye, fool.
Stop helping.
We could sprain their ankles.
Sprain.
They're skateboarders, right? That's how they run their scam. They can't skate, you hit them where they live.
I just break nothing. I'm gonna break their arms. And I'm gonna break their legs.
Arms? When did we get onto arms?
I'm cutting their legs off.
We could go that way, but
This is getting out of hand. Very, very, very quickly. But let's think about this. Let's take some positives. Let's take some positives here. At the beginning, it seemed as though he was going to murder them. Yes, you break all their arms and both of their legs. That's very, very bad. But they're alive. So let's recognize this. Saul has made some progress. He has made some progress. And so what you're seeing here, it is probably hard to see considering the amount of violence and aggression that's happening here. There's a little bit of back and forth. I'm going to murder them. Don't murder them. Be proportional. I am going to do something very bad. Okay, well, no, let's break their arm. Let's give them a black eye. No, that's not good enough. And you see, and they're going back and forth. So there is some progress being made. The gentleman on the ground might not feel that way, but there is some progress being made. So let's see. Another thing to remember is that time is an important thing. Time is an important aspect, and that we need to consider when we're considering these negotiations. Saul wants more time. The more time he has, the longer they live. The more time he has, the longer they are safe, physically safe. And so also the more time he puts into this, the more likely it is that the authorities can come and interrupt what's happening, right? So as long as he can keep them going and just pushing this on as far into the future as possible, the better the situation is for Saul and those two guys. So we'll see what ends up happening, but I just want you to recognize there is some progress being made, and the strategies here are actually pretty solid.
we were talking about braking. I think we're heading in the wrong direction.
Okay. Break their legs.
How many legs?
Two. They got 2 legs.
One leg.
Each 1 leg each?
One leg each. That total of 2 legs. Hey.
This is really cool. Okay, and so he says he's taking his words and making it a little bit more palatable, right? So he has 2 legs. Okay, great. Let's agree to 2 legs. And when I say 2 legs, I mean 1 leg each, meaning 2, right? And so again, he's taking his words and making it a little bit more palatable for his, let's call them clients in this situation. I think that was a pretty solid move. He's getting him to think. He's stopping and he's thinking. Recognize this too. He's calming down during the process. At the beginning, this guy was pretty heated. He was very heated, very emotional. When you're very emotional, more likely to make a rash decision, like murdering 2 people, okay? And so by engaging him in this thoughtful process, he's slowing down and considering his options. So this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Let's see what happens.
Look, they can't skateboard for 6 months, and they're scared of you forever. You show everybody that you are the man, but that you're fair, that you're just.
And so I love that he's bringing this back around. Focusing on somebody's identity is such a powerful negotiation tool, right? I remember one time I was representing a client that was engaged in some child care, and they were in a situation where the people who owned the property weren't really treating them very fairly. They weren't taking care of the property effectively, and it was hurting their business and, frankly, hurting the kids. And so I did some research to figured out that the guy who was the property manager at his church, he actually started a daycare. And so before going into the negotiation and starting to talk about business and about laws and about what they should do and what I would do to them if they didn't do it, lawsuits, etc., I said, hey, listen, I saw that you at your church, you started this daycare. Tell me about that. Yeah, no, this is great. I'm glad that we're working with somebody who's not just all about the money. You actually care about the well-being of children. That's fantastic. And so I kept going back to that during the negotiation. You're somebody who cares about kids. I know this because you actually helped us start a daycare, right? And so you're talking about their identity, right? Who they aspire to be. And really what you're doing is you're saying somebody like you would then do something like this. And so for him, the identity is tough but fair. Tough but fair. You want to be seen as somebody who's tough so they don't mess with you, but fair so people can respect you, right? And so he cycled back to that, reminded him of his own personal aspirations. Brilliantly done.
One leg each.
It's tough, but it's fair.
Deal. His clients don't like it. But it is a deal. Now, again, for me as a lawyer, if this was like a legal, like a law type of negotiation, I wouldn't have authority to agree to that because clearly my clients don't like that. The clients are the boss. We're not dealing with the typical laws of polite society here. And I think he got a pretty solid deal considering the situation. Now we'll see how that's doled out. I would want some clarity on how that's going to happen and how they could recover, because being out here in the desert, I see a lot of germs. If this is a compound fracture type of situation, we need to get them medical attention very quickly because infections can cause a lot of damage. So I would say, all right, so after you break their legs, how do I get them to medical care, right? Tough but fair. If we just want to break their legs, we need to make sure that it's just the legs, not anything worse. So what can you do to help me to make sure that these kids get taken care of after the fact? That's an important part. So I would want a little bit more clarity on those details, but considering where we started, I think it's a good deal. It's better, certainly better. Let's see.
Right, lay him out. Ain't got all day out here. Quit moving. You're only gonna make it worse.
Yeah, I think we know where we're going here. So I actually think this was a pretty solid negotiation. This was a pretty solid negotiation considering the circumstances. One of the things that I want you to consider though is don't put yourself in bad situations. And of course you're going to say, of course, Kwame, I'm not going to be dealing with cartels. I get that, all right? But I'm not saying that. I'm saying this. You want to be proactive with your negotiation strategies. You need to be proactive. And part of being proactive means you're thinking ahead to possible problems. And so you're creating a negotiation strategy that not only helps you in the short term, but in the long term. You want to anticipate the direction things might go. And so you want to make sure that you're putting in place protections so you don't find yourself in a situation where the other side has all the leverage. This is a situation where the other side had all the leverage, right? And so it's really tough when you're negotiating from behind. Well, I hope you found this helpful. Maria, thank you. This was a fun one. You almost stumped me, but you're going to have to try again next time. And if you like this video, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be the first person to know about our future content. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. What did I miss? What negotiation and conflict resolution techniques did you see that I missed? Let me know in the comments below. And if you are interested in a negotiation or conflict resolution training for your team, check out our website, AmericanNegotiationInstitute.com. And I will catch you in the next one, my friend. Have a good one.